Jersey Baseball Nation. Today we got the two top dogs in New Jersey when it comes to college baseball. We brought them both on for what should be a great show, and we are here promoting the Garden State Baseball Coaches Clinic coming up December 9th at Gamers Baseball in Kenilworth. We have Steve Owens, head coach of Rutgers University, and Rob Sheppard, the head coach of Seton Hall. We thank you both for stopping by, and should be quite an exciting day. Great coaches clinic with you guys, Coach Trimper from Stetson, Coach Stowski from Mary Hardin Baylor, and one of our favorite assistant coaches, with strong New Jersey ties himself, Kevin Schnall from Coastal Carolina. So wanted to start out, you guys have the unique vantage point of being the kind of top two in the pecking order in New Jersey when it comes to college baseball. Certainly that's been a thing for us, and wanted to get you both to talk a little bit about, first of all, what we see as kind of the state of New Jersey baseball as we head into winter of 2022. We'll start with Coach Sheppard.
Sure. I appreciate Mike having us both on, and obviously Steve, and it's been a pleasure for me to have the opportunity to speak here. But I think when we were discussing the state of New Jersey baseball as a whole, I think it's been great in a number of ways. I know from our program standpoint, we're really excited for our upcoming season. We had a really good fall, a strong fall, and we're looking forward to getting into our spring schedule. But leading up to this point, I know we've had some tremendous success as collegiately within the state. I know Ryder had an opportunity to move on and play into the regionals. I know Steve and Rutgers had a tremendous year last year. High school baseball has always been strong and is thriving right now throughout the summer and into the fall with club baseball. I think New Jersey baseball, the prospects of the current teams and the prospects of the current players are on the rise. I really feel that New Jersey baseball is getting stronger, not only within our own state, which is obviously what we're all here for, but also the contributions that the players make at other places. But obviously for us, we want to keep as many guys close to home so that we can thrive and have the ability to compete on a national level.
Coach Owens, you might not have quite as many years in the state as Coach Sheppard does, but certainly you've been in the region for as a head coach for over 30 years now. Certainly New Jersey has always been an important state for what you've done, and now at Rutgers, obviously. What's your thoughts on kind of the state of New Jersey as far as baseball?
Yeah, there's a lot of good baseball players. There always has been. There continues to be. A lot of people, right? A lot of people means a lot of good players. And I think, there's some players that are really talented and exposed at an early age, and then there's other players that kind of show up late. And there's enough people where, you still, from a recruiting standpoint, have an opportunity to find a kid, in October of their junior year or senior year even, that kind of fell under the radar or developed late or was injured. We had the COVID stuff too, so some kids were hidden or we couldn't get out and watch guys for a couple years. But there's a lot of good players. It's exciting to watch those players. It's very competitive to get the best players because there's a lot of other people, recruiting the state, not only in baseball, but in every sport. So it's super competitive, but there's also, choice A might go somewhere else, but choice B is pretty darn good. And if you can develop him and he wants to be at your place, it's a good fit, so I think, that's exciting. And, we're trying to stay in state as much as we can because of cost, because, we're a state school, and the cost for us to recruit a player in state is much less than it is if we go outside of the state. So it makes more sense financially for us to try to stay in as much as we can. Although, sometimes you gotta go wherever you gotta go to find the right players. But it's exciting. A lot of good college baseball players and programs in the state as well that have had success for many, many years. And so I think it's a cool time, and hopefully Rob and I keep getting a lot of good players to come play for us. And there's less and less guys going somewhere else.
Absolutely. And I think that the success that both programs have had through the years, certainly it's the path to doing great things can absolutely run through New Jersey if that's where you want it to run. Great lineup for this clinic. December 9th, as we said, at Gamers Baseball in Kenilworth. Coach Sheppard, what has tell us about your level of excitement for events like this, where you get the chance to meet and talk to and share some, with other great coaches in the state.
Yeah, I like I said earlier, it's an honor to have the opportunity to present. I know for me, I learned a lot from just being there as well, hearing the other coaches speak on their behalf and the different topics that are covered. But also get a chance to meet and talk to some of the coaches from the area. I think having that network that you can kind of get into, meet some old friends and meet some of the new coaches from the area is a really good experience for me. But at the same time, you get a chance to, as they say, iron sharpens iron, get an opportunity to rub elbows and meet some other coaches that have really great ideas. My subject is going to be practice planning, and in the Northeast, you have to get creative. And I know I'm not going to come out with a lot of different new ideas, maybe, enhance some things, but I know the coaches in this area, just like we talked about the state of New Jersey baseball, coaches get creative and do a great job of coaching. And to have the ability to share my thoughts and also hear some others really allows me to become a better coach as well, and get a better feel of what we need to do to continue to improve and move forward also.
And you mentioned practice planning, obviously something that is a necessity anywhere, but like I said, certainly here, where so much of it is not just on the field, but also in the gym, in the in the auxiliary rooms and the cafeterias of the high schools and middle schools somewhere across the state. When did as someone who had his first head coaching job at a young age, how did that become? Was it just kind of learned from your father, just kind of like the importance of that, and to make it become a strength?
Yeah, no, I was fortunate to kind of grow up in that environment. I played for my brother Mike at Seton Hall Prep, who's had a tremendous career. Also, my brother John's at Morristown Beard. It's another good school in New Jersey. But I had the opportunity to play for my dad and Coach Blankmeyer, who was at St. John's. So having the ability to figure out how to use space. I know Steve has done some clinics on that topic himself, and being from the Northeast, you got to get creative finding space, whether it's a hallway, like you said, a gym, a classroom. I think that's what makes the New Jersey players well sought out, because they have the ability to adjust, and they're really good, and the environment that they're playing in, they have the ability to be resilient, and have the ability to kind of adjust to how things are going. And from my perspective, I was fortunate to be in that atmosphere early on as a player and as a coach, figuring out how to utilize different spaces, utilizing your time, how to use your entire team in a short period of time. So I've been really lucky to have the mentors that I've had, but being in the Northeast, there is something about getting dirty and figuring it out, and trying to understand ways that you can get better, that maybe not be as clear cut as getting on the diamond. Sometimes you have to use a racquetball court or a squash court or different things that allow you to get your work in a rubber ball and a cement wall. Gets you a lot of infield play. So there's a lot of different things that we can figure out. But I was fortunate enough to have the role models and the experience that I had to kind of create some of that.
Sure. Now, Coach Owens, you've obviously got to travel the clinic circuit through the years as well. What does it mean to you to be able to, have such an important role in it and be actively involved in this sort of event, for the coaches in New Jersey to be a part of?
Yeah, I think it's going to be primarily a high school event, maybe junior high school, JV coaches and high school coaches, and maybe 100 guys. So it should be pretty intimate where I'm not going to go and, make a huge PowerPoint and give a big flashy presentation and keep it kind of nuts and bolts. Some of the basic things that I feel are important that you can implement into a high school type practice setting, and try to get your players to believe in some of these things and to have consistency with messaging and what's important and what's not. So I'm going to talk about kind of a variety of things. Obviously, there's a lot of things that are important in the game of baseball. We'll talk about more offensive stuff. And again, probably the biggest difference in our team from last year to the previous year was our defense. Even though we led the country in scoring runs, I think that we won a lot more games because we could defend, so but no, we'll talk about some of those things and then have an opportunity to maybe answer some questions. I'm not directly responsible for any of the successes of our hitters or our pitchers or our fielders. I've kind of tried to be involved more in everything at this point in my career, where I have excellent assistant coaches that kind of take ownership of a certain part of the program, and then I'm able to interject my opinions and watch a lot and help out and kind of guide. I've kind of spent more time watching pitchers in the past couple of years than I have doing anything else in practice settings, because it's one coach with 15 or 16 players, and I'm not a pitching coach, but I like to watch pitching and I know how important that is. So again, it should be a fun day to just throw some stuff back and forth. Hopefully it's kind of informal and you can, have a lot of interaction and then get a chance to meet some high school coaches and hopefully, they enjoy the presentation and maybe want to come watch some of our games or send a couple players, our way.
Now you mentioned Rutgers finishing last year with statistically the #1 offense in the nation in D1 when it comes to runs scored and setting all sorts of school records. Obviously helps to have great players, but also I guess the importance of a great staff led by on the offensive side with Coach Pederuto. Is it something that just takes kind of every day a consistent philosophy to get through to the hitters to just sort of kind of keep everyone on the same page?
Yeah, I mean, the players are all coached differently, but there's basic things that we try to instill and practice, and then you kind of build your philosophy off of those type of basics, and then obviously you have to practice all the different things that can happen and the different ways to score runs. And so it's not just about building someone's mechanics or swings. I would say the approach, the amount of practice, the way you practice, the different things that you value, and then kind of individualizing everything so that, your leadoff hitter is, maybe a guy that values his on-base percentage more than the number of hits he gets, and how many runs he scores each weekend is the most important thing, and just letting everyone in the lineup know what their job is. and then not necessarily having one type of player, having a nice mix of players that can do a lot of things, because there's a lot of different ways to score. You want to be good at all of them. It's almost impossible each year in the college game to be good at everything, because you can't, just like in high school, you kind of have the players that come through. We get to pick our players, but we don't get to pick the absolute best player at everything in the whole country every year. So you have to teach and coach and adapt.
Yeah, now both of you obviously have been very successful doing that over the years, over 1,500 victories as head coach here on the call, and I don't contribute any to that number. So, Coach Sheppard, wanted to ask you, obviously, over the 500 mark yourself, father, close to 1,000, I mean, is almost as close as you can get to 1,000 at 998. Probably, I mean, there may not be another program in the country that's more associated with a family than Seton Hall and the Sheppard family, not just the university, but also Seton Hall Prep, as we said with your brother Mike. What does that mean to you, kind of a bigger perspective? What does that mean to you to have that, the Sheppard name attached to Seton Hall as closely as it is?
Well, I've been blessed to kind of be the caretaker of the program. This has been more of a family affair than anything. My dad, when I was a kid, he would never say he was going to work. He would always say he's going to school. And he really enjoyed what he did. And that was something that I know my brothers and I were fortunate enough to kind of rub off on. But it means the world. I really work tirelessly to keep our tradition going and add to that tradition. We've been really fortunate here at Seton Hall to have the players that have come through the doors and are continuing to do so. But not only that, the support that we get from the university and, former coaches. I mentioned, Coach Blankmeyer being a coach here, and, we've had a lot of success that allows us to continue that, the tradition because of what we've done in the past and what we continue to do now. For me, I just want to continue to have the pride and the passion that kind of the program deserves. And that's something that I know with my staff, Coach Giuseppe Papaccio is back on our staff. He was a former All-American shortstop, former player here. He wanted to, had the opportunity to come back and be a big part of it. And he's our associate head coach. And then Ryan Ramiz, who's also a former Seton Hall player, was drafted with the Seattle Mariners, is back with our program. So having that level of commitment from former players that want to come back, and like Steve said, you want to have really good assistant coaches that allow you to kind of continue to do your work, but also keep the program at a high level. And we've been really fortunate over the years to do that with the current staff and the former players that have come back and helped on the staff as well.
Sure. No, absolutely. It's got to be great to have, two top assistant coaches being guys who came up and played through the program. I'm sure that's incredibly meaningful.
Yeah, it does. It means a lot, to me, but also to the alumni. I think that keeps our alumni really tight is everybody seems to be invested in what and how we do, and that's something that I think is indicative of the success we have on the field, but also off the field. We have a very tight knit group of alums that really care about the program, and Giuseppe and Ryan are just an example of that.
Coach Owens, started your head coaching career, first job as a head coach at age 26 at Cortland State up in New York, approaching the milestone 1,000 wins this year. Certainly one of the top totals of any active coach currently. When you think back to 1992 and win number one, now that you've kind of been in the role for 30 years, obviously had fantastic success. Anything that you might tell young Coach Owens now that would make your life easier over the next 30 years?
I mean, there's probably a lot of things that I would have told myself back then. I was pretty young. I think I had players older than I was when I first started, and got it going, got the right kids in there, and then just I've enjoyed everywhere that I've been. I think I've left everywhere that I've been at the exact right time, which is probably good luck and good fortune. But I've never gone somewhere to go somewhere else. I've gone somewhere to do a job when the job had been completed at the prior place, and maybe there wasn't a lot more room for growth, or it was just time. It was just time for a different challenge and a different time, and kind of, so I've kind of been long stints at 3 different places, hoping that I can make this stop, the final stop, and a good 10-year run or so, and things have gone pretty well so far. It's not easy, but we're kind of getting things going in the right direction right now, which is exciting, and hopefully we can continue to build on that going forward. But you asked, I think one of the questions Chris had sent was who the first win was against, and I don't even know. I think it was an NAIA school down in Sanford, Florida.
And I tried looking it up. I couldn't find
I couldn't find it either, because I was like, I should know that. But the wins are the wins. I think I've learned a lot. I learned a lot from the people that I played and coached under, and my father. And then I think I've been able to kind of be myself, do things my way. When you're a head coach, you work for an institution, but you're pretty much self-employed. You get out of it what you put into it. So if you don't want to work hard, then that's okay. You're probably not going to be very successful. If you want to work hard, your players will benefit, your program will benefit, your assistants will benefit, you will benefit. So it's kind of like being a self-employed contractor, like, do you want to go to work and stay late and work all the weekends and stay to the last pitch to see if somebody good shows up that you might want to recruit, or do you just go through the motions? And so I've always tried to work hard, not just because I've enjoyed it. I like it. I've had great kids, had excellent coaches that have coached under me, and I'm kind of proud of that, because those that stayed in baseball have all been extremely successful coaches. And I think, that's a good indication that you're teaching the right stuff and you got the right guys. And the coaches that I have now, along with the other coaches that I've had, have been super committed, do the extra work with the players, and have just really loyal and talented and competitive, high care levels, and I think hopefully I've been able to instill that. You have to change and adapt and adjust. Since I've been in New Jersey, like, life's been a little bit weird, right? Like, we played about 10 games, and then the season got canceled, and then I was sitting on my couch, watching press conferences, and then we couldn't go out and recruit for a year and a half, and then we couldn't run camps, and then you play a conference only schedule, where you test 4 times a week, and it's just weird. But the rules have changed so much. Recruiting has changed so much. You got NIL, you got this, you got that, you got all kinds of changes. It's hard to stay on top of all those changes and stuff. The game hasn't changed that much, really, but a lot of stuff has changed in the past few years. So it's been quite challenging to try to get a program switched over into a successful program during a pandemic. But it kind of feels like we're on the back end of that now. So hopefully we all get to enjoy some regular seasons and have some fun, try to win some games.
Absolutely. We'll finish with this. Now that we've kind of set the stage, I'll give you each about 60 seconds. Now that fall's been completed, as far as on the field and team activities to get me excited for 2023, because hopefully in the end we end up with the Big East champ and the Big Ten champ coming out of New Jersey. That would be obviously what we would love to see. So Coach Shep, get us excited from what you saw this fall.
Yeah, I think we, from our program standpoint, we have a lot more depth than we've had. And, a lot of that is through experience. I know Coach Owens spoke about it with the pandemic. We've gotten a little older because we were able to retain some of our grad students. But from that standpoint, we're definitely a lot more competitive in every position on the field, definitely more versatile as well. So we have a number of guys that can play a couple different positions. And we're excited, we're excited on how we competed this fall within our own inter squads. And we had a couple outside competition games. So we're looking forward to a lot of improvement offensively, defensively, and then obviously on the mound.
Yeah, Coach Owens, when we had Ryan on a couple of weeks ago, we talked about an awful lot of new guys this year, but certainly an awful lot of talent too. Get us excited for the Big Ten season.
Yeah, we have 18 new players and 17 returning players. So it's the first team I think I've coached where we have more new players than returning players. But the good thing about the returning players is, we have, I believe, 6 of our 9, position players are back, at key positions. So, we return 5 or 6 guys, I think, that hit over 10 home runs and were very good players. We lost some excellent players, just like every team does every year. But, there's a good base there of experience. And the thing that's cool for me is those players have gotten better. When we go back a year ago in the fall, we're better now than we were a year ago in the fall. Because these players have gotten better and we know more about them. And then, we've been able to spend more time we have 11 freshmen and I think 7 transfers. So we've been able to spend more time with them, kind of get them up to speed. A lot of teaching, a lot of playing. We played a lot of innings. Some exciting freshman players, in multiple spots that I think will contribute right away. Some really solid transfers that, are here for one reason or another. And hopefully, we can help them achieve their goals and have them be successful and integrate into our team well. But I think I'm pretty pleased with the fall. Again, we start our practices every day with defense because we know how important that is. Unless you have elite pitching, defense is really important, and they love offense, right? So if you start with your defense every day, you can get a lot of good work done before they lose their focus, and then they'll lock back in for the hitting part of it. So we've done some good stuff. Coach Garza and Coach Monahan are working with the infielders and the pitchers, and Kyle's working with the hitters, and I'm kind of overseeing everything and trying to, talk to guys and teach them little things. And I feel like we had a successful fall on the, with the team segment on the field. And then I think the last couple of weeks, I felt pretty good about how the team was communicating with each other. And it seemed like they were finally getting to know each other pretty well. So, not quite sure where we're at compared to last year, because I don't think anybody does. You don't know until, the lights are on and you're playing in the spring. And then you find out, whether you're good. Last year, our hitters were whacking our pitchers all fall and all winter, and we didn't think that our pitching was very good. And what we found out was that our hitters were really good and our pitchers were pretty good too. So, you don't know until you start playing other teams, but we're quite disappointed with the end result of the outcome last year. And we're using that. We're not happy with that, and we're going to use that as motivation to hopefully put ourselves in a similar situation this year.
Absolutely. December 9th, Friday, December 9th, Gamers baseball. gamersba.com. Get yourself signed up for this, the Garden State Baseball Coaches Clinic. Coach Steve Owens, Rutgers, Coach Rob Sheppard, Seton Hall. Thank you guys for taking the time to chat with us here, and we look forward to seeing you at the event.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate talking.